All right. Welcome back, everyone. Today we have our friend Engombe from Occult Pod on our channel.
Hello there.
Welcome. So
Thanks.
this video is going to be maybe a bit more numerological in terms of what we've been observing. Engombe and I had a very similar connection in terms of a specific number that's been really showing up for us. Now, upon beginning, your spiritual journey, and we discussed this in our last podcast together, more than likely we'll see the number 33 popping up for you, kind of alerting you that, hey, something's different, something changed. And, it's not just like a regular occurrence, like, you may see like 1111, once in a while, or 222 or whatever. Like, this will be to the point where it might just freak you out because like you're doing things so inadvertently, so subconsciously, that it just shows up in your reality somehow, whether it's scripted, whether it's manipulated, whether it's a message. That's something we still need to decode at this point. But the funny thing is, in Engombe, you didn't really see 33. You just went straight to 13, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had gone from 33 to 13, and I kind of, drew the conclusion that, hey, this must be like another level or something. That, oh, I graduated from 33, now I'm at 13. But the thing is, I told Engombe about it, and then all of a sudden, he's like, whoa, look at all these connections in my life with 13. How it's been showing up for me. And can you give a couple of examples, Engombe?
Yeah. So in my podcast channel, Pod, I first noticed that the 13th video on our channel lasted for exactly 13 minutes and 13 seconds. So I was like, whoa, this is incredible. And from there, I decided to delve deep into our podcast. And I saw initially that the first episode we recorded was on the 13th of September. Our most viewed video on our podcast has 13 likes. And also I typed in 13 in Chaldean numerology, and it's a direct match to my name that you can see on screen. It was a 31. I just solidified to me that 13 is a big part of my reality, but it's only been 2 weeks I've seen this number, but I've seen it every day since. It's so crazy.
Right. So essentially, it's not that I kind of made you biased towards the number by telling you about it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't say, oh, look at that red car, only notice red cars from now on. It's kind of like it was already embedded in your reality. You just didn't really notice it until this far, right?
Yeah, totally. And one more thing to add up. Well, obviously, we did the episode together on our channel, and after the introduction, the timestamp after that was after 13 seconds. And when you look at how long it lasted for, 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 10 seconds, when you add the initial digits individually, you get 13. So, and obviously, we talked a lot about 13 there. So, yeah, it did freak me out. I was like, this is a cosmic joke, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's important to do this video, because I'm sure there are other people experiencing certain specific numbers, and they just may either be, kind of pushing it aside, throwing it back down the subconscious, or they're kind of becoming hyper conscious of it, like we may have, and it kind of is freaking them out a bit. So, there's got to be some sort of meaning, and just know that you're definitely not alone. I know for sure when I was seeing 33, I was still, I guess, a bit more immature in my spiritual progress and process, where it was kind of throwing me into a mini psychosis. I'm like, how does this keep happening? Like, what do you want from me? I didn't understand what was going on, and in a sense, I just got kind of used to it. Because what can you do, really?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it feels like something's around you, maybe like something's influencing you. So on that note, what do you think could be happening? Is this AI infiltration? Is this spirit guide message? Is this source? Is this something, some sort of phenomenon? What's going on?
You know, it could be a mix of all of it. Maybe it's signs, maybe it's a message from source, but maybe it's just all scripted because you find these patterns. I just found this out the blue, so maybe it was just a message I've seen very late, and obviously watching the 13th floor. Probably after that movie, I started seeing it, so that was probably the first step towards seeing 13. But to answer your question, I'll definitely say there's messages, definitely messages from these archonic beings, or
So you think that
from,
there's some archonic influence potentially?
I think so.
All right, let's do a little decoding then, really quickly.
Uh,
See what comes up for us. So you said 13 was a match to your name, right?
yes,
So we're going to type in the actual word 13. And we get a Chaldean expression of 31, and
yes,
then English ordinal expression of 99. So then I started noticing 99 a bit. I'm like, oh, 99, 13, 13's talking to me again. And then we type in Engombe 31. Very interesting. Now, I'm also born on the 31st. So that's another connection that we made together, which was very odd because, okay, then I'm connected to 13. And I've definitely noticed a bunch of 13 synchronicities throughout my own life. Interesting to say. And I'm sure the AI knows this already about both of us, right? The scripted reality we came in. So even by us talking about it, it's not going to necessarily reveal to anything because it already knows from the moment we came in that, we're connected to this number. But then we can take a look at some other things where it's like, okay, matrix, you mentioned the 13th floor. Well, matrix equals 85. And that's the thing with this numerology. You got to pretty much learn how to do it. It's very simple. You just add up the digits. So 8 plus 5 is 13. Oh, that's interesting. Is 13 the number of the matrix? I mean,
possibly.
13th floor. We have the 13th floor. Yeah, I mean, in the movie The 13th Floor, I believe they were operating from the 13th floor. Am I correct?
Yes.
And then the simulation, in a sense, was taking them down in floors? Or how was that going? I forgot.
I think so because obviously the main character obviously he holograms himself to another character. So in whether they went to the past or to the future, if it's gone to the past, then for sure he went down floors, into the future up. But what's up over past 13?
Right. And then their heavenly water-filled realm, again, this notion of water that we find throughout the movies, like Adjustment Bureau, Dark City. The Archons seem very distressed around water, and they represented heaven in a sense, the floor above 13, I think it was, right,
Yeah,
as very much a water-filled realm. Um, so in essence, there's a lot of water here. We're in
yeah,
matter, water. Flip the M, we get water. Matrix, matrix, right? The womb, we come in through the water. We're under maritime
Okay.
law. Water seems very important here. What do you think about that?
hang on.
Others?
Sorry about that. But yeah, the water combination you mentioned, right? We're all made up of water, and so there's no surprise that it's a big part of this reality. Like you have the ships in water, and you have a lot of symbolism surrounding that. And it just represents that, you have championships, companionships, all these ships there symbolize that, you know, yes, these archons don't like water, but
Yeah.
what are they using it for? That's the question.
Yeah, because although they don't like it, it's like the whole reality is based around it with the maritime law and all that. And for those that don't know what the maritime law, it's basically that we're all a ship on water. We're all treated as cargo under this maritime law. We're all given birth. I believe Jordan Maxwell explained this very well. Birth as in the BERTH.
Yeah,
Uh, ship lingo. Uh, and we're all ships at sea. We're all cargo. We're
yeah. I
all
mean,
owned,
yeah. I
basically.
mean, we live inside of a firmament, so I think that just confirmed it.
Yeah, with this whole firmament idea, I mean, you look at something like Norse mythology,
Yeah,
with the Yggdrasil, the tree of life, holding, what is it, 9 realms?
yeah. 9 realms. Yes.
9 realms. We have potentially 9 planets that could all be interconnected through these bridges. We have the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, I've seen that.
The Rainbow Bridge. Rainbow is not 13. But the Rainbow Bridge is from Saturn to Chiron. Chiron is definitely equal to 13, 67. Chiron and 23 equaling
Mm-hmm.
Moon. Moon equals 23 and 57 instead of 67. So I don't know. Is the Rainbow Bridge from Saturn to Chiron or from Saturn to the Moon? Like we have the Saturn Moon matrix. And I've even heard that Rainbow Bridge actually reminds our collective consciousness, somewhere deep buried in that unconscious, of our last, what is it, genocide, really. So maybe they want us to cross that Rainbow Bridge to Saturn again, potentially, for us to get wiped out. Kind of like reminds me of the whole Galactic Federation thing. Oh, just get in our ships, and we'll take you away. And where does the Galactic Federation reside? Saturn.
Yeah, Saturn runs it all. You know,
Right.
coincided with the moon, and of course that leads into our memories. And yeah, for sure that the moon has a big say in the memory manipulation alongside the
Yeah,
archons.
exactly. Yeah, so and getting back to the movie The 13th Floor, these beings were basically able to hop into, they weren't even organic portals, it seemed like living souls, because one of them actually woke up and saw the edge of the matrix, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was which. Which one was it actually in the 13th floor? Don't quite remember.
I believe it was the bartender that the guy was hopping in and out of.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
But wasn't it? It was just another version of himself, right?
Yes.
That was doing that. I'm sorry for spoiling the movie for anyone that hasn't seen it, but definitely go check it out regardless, because you'll find some interesting stuff in it. Whereas these beings are basically able to hop in and out of body, from the 13th floor potentially, or into the 13th floor, or wherever their end is, because this astral, the astral realm that we consider, the dream world,
Mm-hmm.
is really overlaid into this realm. We're in the astral realm currently. It's just kind of like a denser version of the astral realm, I think.
Perhaps. Obviously, when you're in a dream state, that's when the archons really have their control over you. Like we know in the movie Dark City at night, your memories get implanted, and like you even have DreamWorks in the Hollywood thing where they have the moon and someone sitting down with the fishing rod. That's the truth in plain sight. On our memories, but so
Yeah, they're fishing
really,
our memories, huh?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's like the memory bank, the moon bank.
yeah. It's like even in computing, there's a type of cyber attack. It's called phishing, but it's spelled PH instead of F.
Phish, right? Like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's 22 in Chaldean, which is dragon, which people don't know this, but the dragonic beings are basically the Archon, because check this out. Dragon, right? Remember that? 59, right?
Yes.
And then the Archon, that's an exact match. Board besides in Chaldean.
Whoa.
So it's one off. And then we had fish. PHI is equal to 33. We have our 33 there. Oops. But it's 22 in Chaldean. Let's see if our regular fish equals anything. Fish.
Yeah, fish is a match to matrix in Chaldean.
All right, that's right. All right, yeah. 17. Yeah, interesting to say the least. That's what we try to do, guys. Try to make these connections, and who knows, even if these connections have any meaning or are influenced or basically manipulated into our own existence. But like we've seen with languages, and who's a good one? Chiron Last
Yeah, yeah.
connects the languages very well. On YouTube, check him out.
Yeah, I'll
As
definitely
we've
check that.
seen with the languages, they're all very connected, interconnected. It's as if certain words were artificially computed to connect to some ancient Aramaic words or ancient Arabic or Latin or whatever. Everything is based off itself. And even though I agree English may be one of the most disturbed and manipulated languages, it still stems from somewhere, right? There is still
Yeah.
some language in and of itself, I believe, is a manipulation. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at the origins of the English alphabet, it's initially Latin, and then from Latin you get the Greek, and then from Greek you get Aramaic, which I think these two languages are similar, if not the same. And then from the Aramaic you get the Phoenician, which, you get all, and then the Arabic letters as well. They're all, so it's all interconnected.
Oh, Phoenician was before Aramaic, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It was before Aramaic.
Okay. Yeah. That's where we get definition from. A definition is the base superficial understanding of the word, right? So you have, like a word like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Run, right? The definition is to move swiftly, but that's the base understanding. That's a definition, right? A
Mm-hmm.
Phoenician that cannot see or cannot hear past the basic understanding, right? The Masons like to call everyone deaf, blind, and dumb, and not just the Masons. There's other groups that do the same. The Moors, uh, plenty of other groups, Templars. The masses are deaf, blind, and dumb, right? And so at some level I agree with that, but the reality, the languages were made that way so that we would, be deaf, blind, or dumb, unless you're an artificially programmed NPC and you have no soul or no divine essence. Then yeah,
Mm. Some of the
chances of
masses, yeah, I mean, some of the masses are probably artificially programmed, but not us in particular. But yeah, like you said, these languages created by these archons, they're all designed to control us, right? They always have the same words as spells. And that's true. Like, I think we don't need to go in depth, but there's many videos that touch on that concept, and yeah, for sure, it does really program and control people. It's a crazy
right.
world.
Do you know who is said to be the founder of languages or the
No,
origin?
I've no idea.
So they say it was Thoth. Have you heard of him?
Thoth. Yes.
Yeah,
Is it the god of wisdom?
right. That's what they say, right? The victors write the history.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Thoth, then his incarnation was supposedly Hermes, and then we have Hermes connected to Sophia, and Sophia, the birther of the archons. That's where I lose kind of a little bit of, or rather, I gain a little bit of suspicion towards this concept of Sophia because it's so connected to Hermes, connected to Thoth. And Thoth is basically thoughts. Thoth, 25, right? We have 25 right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Sophia. Would you look at that? 25. So they seem connected on the Chaldean level at least. And we give a lot of credence to Chaldean, even though these other ciphers are not as connected because Chaldean is the most ancient cipher. So it usually will hold the most weight. Now, Thoth basically gave us thoughts, or gave us the monkey mind, I would say, right? And Thoth was, I would say, some sort of high level archon or some sort of parasitic entity, in my opinion. So automatically, when we have this computer in our head that's receiving or even generating, let's say, thoughts, we kind of get pulled away from our true voice, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, because with your thoughts, where do you get your thoughts from? It's not you really thinking, is it? Like, is it some archonic entity giving you your thoughts? That's what I think personally. Because
Right.
we can all think, but is it you actually thinking? Like, if you try to stop thinking, you wouldn't be able to. So who's actually thinking? It's not
Exactly.
you.
Exactly. Yeah. For anyone that's ever just sat down in meditation and tried to clear their mind, it's a pretty impossible task, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The goal of meditation isn't to clear your mind, it's to observe. And then all of a sudden, it's like the mind subsides because I've noticed it's more like a wavelength, right?
Yeah,
It's operating and operating and operating, and you can't stop it. In a sense, you have to go beneath it to where it's silent, right? Because if they put this overlay on us, right, then you have to kind of get around the overlay. You can't fix the brokenness of the overlay in a sense.
interesting, interesting point there. And, yeah, because
Kind
with meditation, like I've done it a lot, and you're still thinking while you meditate. So what really is the true purpose of that? I mean, obviously there's talk about raising the kundalini and all of that. And is that perhaps really what it's for? Possibly. I don't really know the answer, but that's just my thoughts. Again, I didn't have those thoughts. No, no pun intended.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like what we're doing here in a sense in this realm. If you're in a game, if we're in a virtual reality in a realm, that's funny, reality realm. Um, and it's in a sense hijacked. Is it? Do you think it's possible to fix it from inside the realm, or do we just have a trauma bond with the realm? That's why we keep coming back, thinking, "I'm gonna fix you," like like a partner that we keep trying to make better, to try to save. I'm gonna
Yeah.
save you. I'm gonna be the one, the hero of the story.
The question is, how do you fix it? Is it by waking up people? But you can't do that because everyone has their own script. How do you fix a scripted reality? It's not possible.
Yeah, yeah. It's like trying to write the book while being a character in the story. You can only write your own story if you wake up out of it. You don't have control over other people's stories.
Very true.
Because have you ever seen? There's this one movie with Will Smith, and there's actually multiple movies like this. But he realizes he's a character in the story, and he's because he keeps hearing the author narrating his life, and it turns out the author is actually real. And actually, the same thing happened in Westworld, right? With Dolores.
Yeah, I've not watched it, but
Oh, you
going
didn't
there.
get that far.
No, I didn't get that far.
Yeah, she was basically a storyteller in what's her name? The one that went crazy, the other version of her that went crazy. Her reality, not Maeve, the other one. So that woman, that version of Dolores, basically turned into the Demiurge, created her
Okay.
own matrix, put Dolores in
Yeah.
it, and Dolores turned into a storyteller. And then her creative ability that she still had but forgot about through that storytelling was impacting other people's lives, other characters in the Matrix lives. And the character found her and told her to stop because she kept writing bad endings because that's what her boss was telling her to do. You know, the boss only said, "Oh, we only want drama and horror and all this basically gut punchers, so that because that's what sells." And Dolores, didn't have a good feeling about it, but she kept doing it. She realized it was actually having an impact.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Dolores being damaged coming into the Matrix is perhaps truth in plain sight that the Demiurge just runs his own game and controls practically anything. The Demiurge just incarnates here. I think that's what the story of Westworld really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so I would imagine otherwise it'd be very bored just manipulating everything. I would imagine it would want to participate in its own game, right?
Of course he would. I mean, I've made a game, I've played my own game. I'm guessing if you create your own game, you definitely play it. So why wouldn't the creator of this reality?
Right, right, right. And if its goal basically is to cause the most harm, right, it would be one of those types of personas potentially. It would be the ruler of the whole hierarchy. It would put itself at the top, right?
Yep.
Interesting to say the least. Um, yeah, yeah. So with that Will Smith movie, he ends up finding the author, and the author decides she's gonna kill herself because she was affecting Will Smith's life. But they end up getting a happy ending, so there's a positive twist. They end up actually
Yeah.
saving each other in some way.
I wonder if the
Yeah,
happy ending happens in our reality.
if it's scripted, yeah,
Yeah.
because there needs to be a balance from what I've seen in this matrix. That's why you have enemy signs and compatible signs, and things that work well together, things that don't, because that's why we have these cycles, right? The Kali Yuga and then the Golden Age, and then back to the Kali Yuga. It's the illusion of movement. We're just going in circles. It's literally a loop.
Yeah. Like the Ouroboros, time and time
Yeah,
again.
and
Like,
it's designed to make you feel good and then make you feel bad. Because if you just feel bad the whole way through, there's no emotional change, and that's where the most loose is formed in that emotional disturbance, right? The ups and downs,
yeah.
and that's actually a common technique to basically play women with. If you're a master manipulator, and yes, I've learned this stuff because I've studied some of this stuff. Not saying that I did it, but when you're out on a date,
Yeah.
um, and this doesn't have to be dark, but the way to you know to intrigue a woman, because women are more emotional than men, is to play on her emotions, right? You take her from one spot, and then you go to another spot, and there's another emotional peak there, another spike, and then all of a sudden you change your emotions, you become sad or something, you become enraged, or I don't know. So it's this emotional turmoil that just up and down, up and down, up and down. And for someone that's imbalanced, that's unhealthy, right, unhealed, they love that because it's that drama, right? That's why everyone's so addicted to drama, because it causes some sort of spike in them. And that's where the Lucius farm from, for example. And that's why they rig sports so heavily, because all of a sudden your team goes up 14 points in the Super Bowl in the first half, and oh, we're feeling great. And then the other team, oh, we feel horrible. What the heck's going on for our team? They're on the edge of their seats, and that's the drama, that's the suspense, that's the movie they're creating. And then their team comes back, and all of a sudden they go from really high to really low. And although they hate it in the moment, subconsciously they love it, right? And that's where most of us operate from, a subconscious level.
100%. Great dating tips. I might use it actually, but seriousness, so yeah, like you said, drama's, the biggest feeling that people love, like I said, it's all energy harvesting, and that just goes back to the demiurge again and this group of archons with all the added drama, tension, and sports, and it's all predetermined. So just don't give your energy to it. The masses, they're lost. Nothing you can
Exactly.
do.
Yeah. And that's, it goes back to healing the triggers and all that. And that's really why I got into astrology and things like that. I wanted to get better with relationships. Wasn't really trying to manipulate anyone or do anything like that, or manipulate girls in any way. I was just trying to learn and see what is going on. Why are people reacting a certain way? What's triggering these people? Because, and I'm sure like many others, like yourself, we notice patterns, right? We notice how people react commonly to certain phenomena, certain situations, and you're like, oh, okay, that guy was acting very similar to that guy, and that girl did something is working, right? It's like, why are they doing this? Um, and it's the subconscious level that people are operating from, because they're unhealed in a sense, right? They're not conscious, they're not fully awakened. And you're talking about, you're watching my video on free will. That's what I discuss in that video, that until you become conscious, until you become sovereign in your actions and healed, you are operating with no free will, or with very limited free will. You can wake up, even from the clothes you choose, you think that was your choice. You were influenced potentially from past experiences, from the prior night, based on unhealed phenomena happening, which is essentially governing your reality.
Spot on the free will, because you know a child really doesn't have any free will. They're forced to go to school. I mean, if they didn't have that choice, they wouldn't. No kid would ever choose to go to school. It's just obviously the first step towards indoctrinating the masses. And like you said, like even for me, before I had my awakening, I didn't really have any free will. Like I noticed that, I didn't really have any choices on what I was doing in my life. But until I had my awakening, I realized I was more conscious of the choices I was making. And just further proves that you have to win your free will. You got to earn it. It's not something that's just given straight to you.
Yeah, you got to take it back in a sense, because it's been so heavily manipulated. And you mentioned children. Children are a great example because of how much we are in that unconscious theta state at that point of our lives, in which we just accept anything that we're given, and then our whole lives are kind of governed by those initial 7 years. If we don't awaken from that trance, in a sense, we're put in this trance by our parents, uh, you know, lacks our parents' inabilities to heal their own trauma, right? So we essentially take on that trauma from the get-go. Then the system that's around us, what's marketed to us, what's thrown in our faces, especially with these cartoons and how much they're, heavily manipulated towards their agenda.
Yeah, can't say much on that, but
Yeah,
otherwise it gets suspended. But yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, for anyone that's really going through these stages, another connection here that Engombe showed in his own video. If you haven't checked out astrology, called Pod, astrology is equal to 31 as well, and we're both pretty interested in astrology, for sure. But at its root, I guess 13 is equal to 4. What can you say about the number 4? Does that have any influence in your life?
not necessarily. I mean, I could say my dad's born on the fourth, so that's one thing. Um, Apart from that, not really.
Not
Like
really,
I
yeah.
know that the Chinese see the number four as death, but like again, a number is duality. You can't be considered evil. It's just different cultures have different meanings for these numbers. But to answer your question for myself, I don't really see the number four often. I mean, my name reduces to a four, so I guess that's it.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say because it's not that's it's literally a specific number that comes up. It's not variations of it. For me, it is variations of it. I guess like 85, 76, 67, because I'm so privy to seeing it and I notice it that I guess I can get the message in multiple ways, which can definitely be even more engulfing and hard to handle sometimes if you're not prepared for it. Um, but again, it's these numbers are so easily manipulated, so easily influenced because the numbers are the closest physical representation to energy, I would say, than anything else you could find here, which makes them so malleable. Now, there's this guy, I mentioned him before. His his YouTube channel is named 434, like 434, and he basically started seeing this number from connecting to the machine elves through shrooms, right? Through these psychoactive substances. And then he started realizing that this number, which stands to them, to him, for love, joy, hope, is deeply embedded in his reality. Everywhere he goes, you'll get receipts for 434. You'll see the number 434. He lives a certain longitude and latitude connected to 434, like not something that he planned, something that it was just worked into his reality in some way. And many people that watch his videos report then seeing the number 434 as well, as in they're tapping into that energy, right? They are essentially hooking into it. And these machinos, they describe um, us being in a sort of bowl, kind of like the firmament. Makes a lot of sense, right? And with the waters above or below or whatever, we're in a bowl, and they tap on the bowl, and like through this tap or through whatever they do, they influence numbers. What do you think about that?
That makes sense. So like you said, the YouTuber 434, and then his audience seeing that. I mean, that energy is going somewhere to them. It's how does that work? I'm not sure really. But is it the archons using him to give the energy that he receives from love, joy, and kindness to his audience? I'd say so. I think that is probably the only logical solution to that. But yeah, for sure, it's a positive. And these numbers, these patterns you see, there's no accident. It just comes to you. Really, it's not something you look for. So yeah, it's not really a surprise.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I want to warn people about, because just because, a certain situation was led to you by these numbers, all of a sudden you see 21 everywhere, that's your favorite number, and you're a bit suspicious of a situation, but you see 21 coming up in that certain situation, and you feel influenced to, let's say, either take that relationship or take that job or whatever. But you think, oh, well, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think it's the best choice, or you notice specific red flags from the get-go. These numbers can be used to influence you. Don't get that wrong. Um, and really, what you want to return to is your own intuition, your own guidance, because if you're using external guidance all the time, you can be manipulated into situations that may not necessarily be of the highest good for you. So that's my warning, saying that you shouldn't necessarily be misled by these numbers. You can definitely take it into account. I believe the Gnostics learned how to communicate with these interdimensional beings, but their mindset was always to be suspicious, to question, but to take into account what they may be saying, right? To scrutinize.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like you can see numbers all the time, but just use them as a guide. But like you said, don't let it influence you to make a decision because like I touched on earlier about numbers, no number is good or bad. It's just a number, two digits. So it has its own duality. It can either be good or bad, but like you like you said, you gotta trust your own intuition. Don't let a number influence you to make a decision that is not the right one in the end. Because then if you do, then you're not essentially in control. That number rules over you, and you can't let a number rule over your life. Even though, like we've touched on earlier, we're in a scripted reality. But the free will that you do gain from being awake, you should use that wisely over letting a number run your entire reality.
Yeah, even if it shows up nonstop and everywhere you turn your head, you don't know what the heck to do about it, even if your whole life is coded into it. Um, you just gotta say, hey, I'm in a scripted reality.
Yeah,
Somehow, some way, somebody's plan was for this to happen. I have no idea what it means yet, and you just keep going on with your life until you
yeah,
potentially get a deeper meaning or something.
yeah, absolutely. And just I can see on your screen like the temperature that you have on the laptop or computer, right? 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, 41 being the 13th prime number. And we talk a lot about 13 once again.
Are you serious? 41 is the 13th prime number?
Yeah, you can check.
I did not know that. What the heck?
I'm
Okay, yeah, let's check.
not lying, but no, I'm not lying.
I didn't believe you, but I just want to see for myself. Is that 13? 41, 13. 13 is also a prime number. What number of prime is 13? Is it 7?
Sixth.
Sixth? 13
Yeah.
is the sixth prime number. It's funny. It's funny. It's the sixth prime number.
Why is that?
Um, because today's date is a 6 day, or really it's a 33 day. And then our friend Rowan is a 33.
Yeah.
And you're a 6 as well.
Yeah,
You're, you're,
I'm a sixth life path.
you're a 6 life fan, yeah. I'm a 7.
Yeah, and of course, adding the two numbers gets that
6 plus 7
infamous
is
number.
13, right? Seven feels connected to the 13 as well, because, and this, by the way, is a parasitic code. It's the code that runs our reality. But if we look at flower of life, right? This is a flower of life. Even that looks like weed. So the flower of life, right? And the smaller bit, right, we just take one of this is the seed of life. This whole thing is the flower, and this makes up the Metatron's cube. Let's see if I can make it bigger. No. Anyways, the smaller one is the seed of life. And what does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals. Trying to think. This essentially forms the hexagon, which we see with Saturn and the cube and all that. But there's one with the 7 circles. This one, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the 7th point in the middle. So the 7 is deeply connected to this reality. We have 7 colors of the rainbow, the 7 chakras, 7 seals, the Snow White and the 7 dwarves, right? That's the light prism. But then we have Metatron's cube. And this one we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 12 plus 1, 13. 13 circles. And on the inside we have 7. Again, that denotes the flower of life or the seed of life, right? So 7 and 13 are deeply embedded in this realm off the get-go. And that's something I've noticed. But this code, right, you can see all these sharp edges, this cube, you can see the cube in the middle as well, the various polygons and shapes, and then the larger cube, the hypercube. So we have the small cube right here, the cube, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a smaller cube, if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yep. And then the larger cube, boom, right here. So the cube within a cube, kind of denoting the hypercube or time that we're operating in. And then potentially the larger circle with the Ouroboros. And this kind of actually reminds me of the Norse mythology tree, the circles on the outside with the 9 realms, even though there's only 6 circles on the outside.
Yeah.
So if you study these codes,
go
ahead.
And I say something about the cube. I don't know if you know this, but a cube is in mathematics is also known as a prism.
Right.
Did you know that?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a rectangular prism, and then the square prism. Yep, for sure. Which is basically because the pyramid is more commonly known as the prism, right?
Yeah.
Which is a form of the prism, but the cube is a larger one encompassing the pyramid. And these codes, they're basically overlaid on our reality, right? This 13, the 7. But I don't know if you've ever seen this type of code, Christic tree. It's based around. This is the actual website. Where was it? The Lotus, Flower of Light, Christic Fibonacci Spiral, and Metatron's Cube. There's a more visual representation of our cube in the Flower of Life, right? People regard the Flower of Life as very, sacred geometry. It's found within life, and just because it's in nature doesn't mean it's natural. Whereas this is more of a lotus of life. But it's weird because it looks pretty similar to what was presented in the World Cup logo, doesn't it? In the World Cup final or semifinals.
Yeah, the staging. Yes.
Which kind of arises a bit of suspicion as well. But this one is basically based around number 12, base 12 reality, whereas we're currently operating in a base 10, right? Say 10, base 10. And there's an interesting website to check out for this. Is called the God Seed, the Roish God Seed. I did some research into this. Some interesting stuff. You know, the Fibonacci spiral kind of pulling away from the center, whereas the Christoph spiral remaining tight. We see the divergence here. And then this is the actual Christic tree. Okay, make that bigger. Oh, there we go. See how it has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Whereas the typical tree of life is based around 10 with the hidden Sephiroth Dach, making it 11. So all of it, just from the get-go, you realize, you know, something was being hidden.
That one thing hidden is knowledge.
What'd you say?
That one thing hidden is knowledge.
Right, right. And even that's not the full knowledge, right? Because they're missing one, supposedly. Right, and this goes back to like how we were talking about like Thoth and Metatron. They were essentially working together to create potentially this net of existence that we're currently in, this firmament. And then, you know, Christic reminds you of Christos, of crystal. And if we type that in here, Christic, we have the 33 again, the 105, 16. Christic, Christos, 22, interestingly enough. And there's that. So they definitely messed with that word a bit.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously some sort of manipulation there. And then the actual Christ comes out to 85, which is the reverse of matrix, like we saw before here. And 77. And they do like the number 77 for some reason. I don't think it's... Maybe it is Christ, who knows? Maybe there's more of a connection there that we haven't found yet.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. This reality is extremely hard to decode, but the Christ figure, as you said, is heavily infiltrated. Christ consciousness is the way to go.
Exactly, right, right. Yeah, well, you know, Engombe and I will keep decoding, trying to get to the bottom of this virtual reality, if we can. You know, try to essentially discover the exit, the door to the way out of this matrix, if it's even found in the numbers. You think it's programmed in the numbers? Do you think the
so.
demiurge would do that?
Maybe, probably. You know, I'd like to, at the end of my existence, just be like Truman to the demiurge and say, hey, I got out of this reality. I'm not coming back.
Yeah, what does he say? He says, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure what you can find there. If you can find something, it's crazy.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Yeah, I don't know.
365.
365, yeah. Why does it keep doing that? I'm not trying to do that. So what? Every birthday you have an opportunity to get out? I imagine if the demiurge put itself in, it would have to leave a way to get out, you know?
Yeah.
Unless it could just be like, oh, I'm out. But in a sense, we should be able to do that too because we're more powerful.
Yeah, and he created us, so we're going to have his abilities. That would make sense.
I don't think he created us. I think more because I think everything is more so a copy. Everything here, Yeah, just copied and pasted.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense.
There's this video that was going around recently of this guy talking about how the NBA players essentially feel like they're copied and pasted because they'll get up and they'll have the same idiosyncrasies where they'll pick a water bottle, drink it at the same time. They'll be walking the same pace. All of them will come together, give themselves like the exact same high five. It's just the hive mind, the copy pasted scripted show that's going on.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think I shared it on my Twitter
Yeah,
somewhere.
I'll have to look at
To
that.
send it to you. Yeah, I'll send it to you if I can find it again.
Yeah.
It's only a 1 minute clip, but it was hilarious. um,
Yeah, who's doing that? It's not man. No chance.
yeah, right. Again, it's that unconscious, right? They think, oh, I'm just doing this, and then all of a sudden you turn around and you see every single other person doing the exact same thing. Like something's weird, something's off, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we get these templates from because, like I said, I notice faces very well, and I'm like, oh, that guy, I've seen that face before. It's been copied and pasted somewhere else, right? We're all just like clones, or maybe they're clones and they're all formed in those baby incubators that they just grow bodies and they copy paste them from one to the next.
Yeah. Literally, because like, obviously before we started, I was at the gym and I saw someone's face that looked exactly like someone I knew from school. I was like, he looked exactly the same. But it's like, I don't know, is this the same guy or not? But
Right.
yeah, it's crazy. I don't know
And then
what's
like
going
it's
on there.
you think like, oh, there are 8 billion people on this realm, right?
I
Well,
mean,
what if like they're all literally the same person? Yeah,
um,
sure. There's 8 billion people. You pull the plug and they all die.
yeah, on the 8 billion, I don't think there's 8 billion. I mean,
I don't think
where
so
did
either,
they
to be honest.
where did they pluck that figure from?
I don't know. They just told us 8 billion. They showed a number on the screen. Oh, 8 billion
Yeah,
people.
it's like, they might control all of us, but not everyone's controllable. So
Yeah,
yeah, the
exactly.
8 billion, it's just imaginary numbers, man.
Pretty much. Pretty much. All right. Well, you mentioned going to the gym. I'm gonna have to get to the gym myself. But this has been an amazing interview again. Always a
Yeah,
pleasure to have you on.
thank you. I've enjoyed it, and thanks for your insight once again on number 13 and the rest of the discussion we had. It's been very, very good.
Yeah, man. Sorry to wake you up to the potential psychosis of seeing this number everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. But it had to be seen, otherwise, I would have been oblivious. And yeah, it has freaked me out. Sometimes I see the 13, I'm like, not again. And I'm like, maybe I'd want to get in a boxing match with the number 13.
Yeah. All you can do is laugh, bro. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't let it get to you. Like, oh wow, look at that. The simulation is simulating.
yeah. You can't beat
Well,
the
we'll have
simulation.
go ahead, sorry.
You can't beat the simulation.
Right. The only way to beat it is not to play, I
Yeah,
think. We'll have our fellow 33 come on soon as well, Rowan, and potentially on January 3rd, which is 1/3/13. we,
yeah.
we did not plan that. I
We
swear.
didn't plan that. Yeah,
So we'll
like,
see if that works out.
yeah, yeah. Rowan's only free on Tuesdays, and funnily enough, that was the first Tuesday of January. So, yeah, I've got nothing else to say on that. It's just, what can you do? It's a simulation.
Yeah, we'll have to do that a bit earlier in my time, so around the same time potentially, because that's one of my good friend's birthday. He's born on 1/3. That's crazy, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Scripted. It's all scripted.
Yeah,
What can you?
just don't get drunk on your friend's birthday and
Definitely not. No, I don't. I stay away from all that.
top man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the black sheep of the group. Almost. I hang around with them, we're childhood friends, but we're not on the same wavelength in terms of like the stuff we're talking about here. They're not gonna resonate with things like that. Some of them
Well,
do. Some of them are privy to it, but not all the way.
is your friend an NPC?
Actually, he's a life path 11. So like, the closer and closer he's getting to the age of 30, now he's actually married, so that makes him more so in his life path potential. He's more of a 2 rather. He's got the potential for 11, and for those that have checked out my course or know my stuff about numerology, when you get married or when you turn 30, you embody your life path more than you do your base number, which is the day you're born on. So being a life path 11, he has the potential to see more outside the box, kind of like a Kanye. He's also a life path 11. And he's getting there. Like, he's starting to see more and more. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, remember when I was telling you this stuff like a couple years ago? You're like, oh, that's stupid, man. That's crazy. Now all of a sudden, you're like, oh yeah, this makes sense. So he's getting there, he's just slower.
Yeah, just let him live out his script and maybe as awake as we are now. So
Yeah, because these beings, like, they have the ability to see the timelines, right? They can see essentially into our future. For them, it's happening at the same time, like fast forwarding a movie. So they can see that, oh, this person is going to awaken, this person is going to do this person is going to have these insights. And then they try to come in at some intersection, at some midpoint, and say, oh no, we did this for you. We made you who you are. We awakened your DNA or blah, blah, blah. And, you just can't give them credit. Can't give anyone credit but source, the one true source. That's it.
absolutely. So yeah, silly question for me, but why are you training at the gym? No, this is
I want to hit some back.
some
Like,
back.
is that what I did last time? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah. I did chest last time, so back.
I wonder if back equals 13. If it does, then
Oh.
I mean,
Well, after how many times I've hit it. No, back is 8.
I did chest today, so if chest is 13, I'm done. Oh.
Oh. Sorry. Let's see, maybe gym. Obviously, it's not for a higher purpose. That's why.
Yeah. Let's just leave that. So yeah, I guess I shouldn't keep you stuck here, and you can head going. And yeah, man, it's been
No
great being
worries.
on. And for any of you that see the number 13, please don't get freaked out. It's just a number. So yeah, if you see it a lot, just treat it as it is and don't get
Or whatever
frustrated.
other number you see,
Yes,
comment the number, comment below, like the video, subscribe, all that, and let us know what you thought. Oh, I forgot to mention this. I was watching the movie actually, 23, and I know you're probably gonna go watch this now, but
yeah, I'm gonna
oh
watch
no,
it.
I told you about it. Yeah, I told you about it.
Yeah, you did.
And then the guy's basically going through the same thing as us. He's seeing 23 everywhere. He's calculating things, his birthday, this, that, everything's adding to 23. And he finds out a bit of a tougher truth at the end. But then I started
Fast
seeing
forward.
23 everywhere. It's just like,
Yes.
But interesting enough, we have 13, which is 1 3. We have 23, which is 2 3. And we have 33, which is 3 3. So
Yeah,
I wonder if it's connected. I was starting to think, oh, wait, maybe
yeah.
that could be connected.
Like I'm born on the 23rd, so what can
On
I
the
say?
cutoff.
Yeah,
Say that again.
I just said that I was born on the 23rd, so I'm
Oh,
just
you're born on the 23rd?
yes.
Oh, what the heck? Yeah. Yeah, my brother's born on the 23rd as well. That's crazy.
Yeah. This reality. I mean, it's a cosmic joke, but just gotta have fun with it at the end of the day, and
Yeah,
live life to the
I
fullest.
think we were definitely scripted into each other's reality. The universe telling us we gotta end it here too much. Yes. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but my camera's a bit dead. I can't really. I can hear you now. It's fine.
Okay. 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 Some weird interference there that was going on. That was the Archons. All right, then. I'll let you go. Thanks everyone
Yes,
for watching, and thanks for coming on again, Engombe. Hope you have a wonderful day.
you too.
Thank you.